So we got to reenact our intro.
I don't know what happened.
Let me tell you what happened as I turned down the music, right?
Uh-huh.
So what it is that Instagram has, they have the capability of listening to your track or
Right.
whatever your conversation is, and it noticed that I was playing her. And so it cut it and said, do you have rights to the music? So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
That makes sense.
It's rough in these streets. I mean, come on, people. It's COVID-19. We stuck in the house. So people want to party with one another. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
which caused me to think. I'm like, well, some of these DJs are having these parties and they're playing everybody's music. So how are they getting away with doing, these lives? Like, I think it was like DJ D Nice, and he had like millions of people on there, and just playing everybody's music. So I don't know.
Right.
We need to up our level of influence so little petty things like this don't, happen to us. You know what I mean? I need them to put some respect on our name. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, but thanks for joining.
You're welcome.
And we're going to go ahead and get this party started. So we had some other visitors that was on, so hopefully they'll start tuning back in and, they'll see if we went back live. But hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Coach Mike with Game Changers. I just want to connect with you all and say, first of all, thanks for tuning in. Game Changers, we're starting a new series called IG Live Series where we are interviewing some amazing athletes. For me, it's been a great way to kind of revisit because these athletes that you're seeing now are people that we've actually recognized in our Player of the Week. And with us today, we have the awesome, amazing, talented, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world on the basketball court, Miss McKenna Peters, affectionately known as Kenna. Go holla at her, go follow at her because she keeps her content popping. I mean, I just really want to say thank you, Kenna. And this is where I have my fake and all that other good. No, but I honestly appreciate it. Hey, Kenna, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. So we're going to do some deep dives in some certain things just for, those that may know you, may not know you, and even those that know you, there's always a deeper story to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the privileges I've had with Player of the Week is listening to some of the backstories which make people who they are. Everyone has their own unique story, and that's what we like to highlight during this time because you never know what part of your story could encourage someone else, whether it's one of your peers, even an adult, you know what I mean, that could just, man, really need that word, or the younger generation that's coming up behind you and saying, man, how can I make sure that I'm at the top of my game when it comes to my academics and service and leadership and everything else, that makes them, a formidable opponent, on the court or in the pool or whatever. So, yeah. So again, thank you again for being here. I'm super excited. We'll be talking about Kenna and like all of her involvement in respect to Game Changers, but let's start from the very beginning and let's start at the age of 2 when you first opened. No, I'm playing. let's start at the beginning though, as far as we'll get to the sports, but when we just talk about your career as a student, like, because before you were a student athlete, you were a student, and so this is what we're highlighting. We're highlighting like students who are well-rounded and they just so happen to be athletes or whatever, whatever their passion or their gifting is. So let's start from the beginning with you, as you're going from that. We won't go back too far, but like middle school to high school, that's usually a big jump. So take it from there and just let us know, that journey for you.
Okay. Yeah. As a middle school, in school, I've always been like very committed to my schoolwork. Both my parents are in education. My mom's a principal. My dad's a teacher. They've been in education for their entire career lives, and so they've always been stricklers on getting good grades and working as hard as I can in the classroom. So I've always taken pride in that, and that definitely is an important thing once you get older, obviously, and like in the recruiting process, if you would like to play your sport at the next level, they definitely look into your grades and your GPA. So that's definitely important. And so I just always took pride in school. And as a middle schooler, I never really thought of college. I mean, I remember in middle school, I really focused on playing softball. I played softball and basketball, and actually I played volleyball in seventh and eighth grade too. So I
Mm,
really never was a one sport like athlete type
mhm,
deal.
mhm.
So I just played it all, and I just had fun while doing it with all my friends. And I was from a smaller community, so everyone knew everybody, which was really nice. And yeah, I just always focused on schoolwork, and my parents always said schoolwork comes before anything else. So if all my homework's done and everything, then I get to go to practice and all that. So I made sure that I really focused and buckled down on all that because it was super important. Sports was also super important to me too. So I made sure that I got all my schoolwork done and got A's and B's. And yes, I didn't get all A's. I'm not perfect, and
Mhm,
nobody's perfect in life.
mhm,
So my parents always told me, "Are you working hard? Are you working hard? Are you working as hard as you can?" And
mhm.
my answer would always be yes. And so they weren't that strict to where if I got a B, I got grounded or anything. So
Right.
I'm happy that my parents weren't as strict as some I've heard, like
Mhm.
if you get a B, you're grounded or whatever. No, like I just worked as hard as I could, and I got away with A's and B's, and that was just me.
Gotcha. Shucks. If your parents or any parents out there, if they're strict on you gotta be, my mom would be like, baby, you gotta be. I just, I might be telling my I wasn't all A's and B's, mine, I was A's, different things like that. But all that, I mean, kudos for you having that solid foundation. I'm sure, as you've gotten older and like you said, looking at the recruitment process, these recruiters coaches and whatever, they want to make sure that they have someone that they're not having to kind of babysit their academics all the time because the sport in and of itself is only part of your experience there at the collegiate level.
Mhm.
It's really about, being there and being able to almost kind of be responsible for your grade so that they don't have to kind of worry about that as much. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
Yep. Yep.
okay,
That's
that's great. So you also highlighted, you said, you were a three-sport athlete. And when did you start to, I guess, fall in love with basketball? Only because, that's been the platform, so to say, that really take you to where you are now. So
mhm.
when was that transition and you saying, okay, baseball is great, volleyball, but I'm really going to go ahead and start diving in and honing in my skill set on basketball?
Right. Yeah, I love sports, and so seventh and eighth grade, I played all three: volleyball,
Mhm.
basketball, and softball. And then once I got to high school, I decided that I should probably not or stop playing volleyball because it was just taking up a lot of time, and it took up a lot of time for me to work on my craft
Mhm.
basketball. Because I probably my freshman year, I realized, okay, I really love basketball the most, and so up until I played travel softball and travel basketball up until my freshman year of high school, and then I
Mhm.
realized, and my parents realized it's getting way too much for in the summertime, like going from AAU tournaments to travel softball tournaments. It was just getting to be a lot. So
Yeah.
my parents kind of sat me down and just told me like I need to probably just pick one for travel sports, and they said you can play all three if you want in high school. Like that's perfectly fine. Like we're in a small community, and so I decided to just focus on basketball travel wise. So
Mhm.
I played AAU basketball for MAC basketball, which is just right out of Cleveland area.
Mhm.
And so yeah, my freshman year is when I realized that I wanted to really focus on just one sport. My all 4 years of high school, I did continue to play softball. Our Keystone softball program was extremely power. It was a huge powerhouse. Like
Yeah.
we made it to the state tournament every year, and I'm super happy that I stuck with it because like those are some of the best memories I have from high
Mhm.
school
Mhm.
playing softball. But yeah, I don't think it's a I think being a two sport athlete in high school is super important.
Mhm.
It's just
Yeah.
extra life lessons you learn um, throughout high school. I think you learn so many life lessons playing sports. So the more you play, the more lessons you learn, and the more the more memories you make.
Yeah, awesome. Good stuff. And that was one of the things when I was, looking up some of the news clippings and Keystone, and they were just, the success that you all had in respect to being a team. And like you said, you love being a part of your basketball team, but then also the memories that you have from your baseball team. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what was it about, you know, playing a team sport? Because whether it was volleyball, whether it was whatever, there's always an element of team that, you know, we as athletes take away that maybe other even organizations might not quite understand. You know, they kind of we're drawn to that, you know what I mean? And we can appreciate having another teammate, you know. So what
Right.
did that do for you as far as in, you know, your development and even, you know, where you are now?
Yeah. With Keystone being a powerhouse in softball, that kind of helped with just like the competitive side of things. I mean, going to practice every day for softball for Keystone was definitely a challenge. I mean, I wasn't the best softball player, and I think we had 8 Division I softball players in my senior class my senior year. So I wasn't the best, and I was lucky enough to make that starting lineup and play in the outfield. But just going to practice every day and just being super committed and
Mm-hmm.
just learning to compete every day. Like
Mm-hmm.
our coach, our high school coach, Coach Piazza, he was a stickler on competing every day against one another. And yes, you're teammates, but we're going to compete against each other, and we're going to have
Mm-hmm.
some fun while doing it. And his practices were super intense, and
Mm-hmm.
that just kind of helped me prepare for the college level, even though it was a different sport, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just competing and having super high intense practices and leaving practice exhausted every night was
Mm-hmm.
when I look back, it definitely helped me prepare for the college level. And same with basketball, we weren't as big of a basketball school, but my coach Terry, he definitely pushed us hard every single day in practice. And sometimes people dread going to practice, but I was that type of person that like was always staying after, getting extra reps in, getting extra shots up. And I just tried to be that leader to promote other people to stay after practice and to get extra work in.
Right. You know, that's awesome that you brought that up, which actually leads me into the next segue question. A lot of times people, they see game day, right? But
Mm-hmm.
they don't see everything that it takes to be able to pull off that shot or to be able to finesse that move or whatever.
Right.
Last week when we had our I want to say, yeah, it was. I was just thinking of order, but Mike Miller. So he was the swim team captain, and he said that there were times where practice they would swim 6,000 laps, and
Mm-hmm.
that's unfathomable for me or anyone that doesn't really do the sport. They're like like I'm getting down there, and I might be able to come back. That's about all I got. But
Right.
getting back to you, as far as in the amount of preparation that went into, you know, getting to that next level and being self-disciplined, what was
Mm-hmm.
that trigger in your mind for you to say, you know what, everybody else is breaking out? Number one, why did you decide to, you know, stick around? And then, you know, like you said, the leadership and encouraging other people around you to make sure that if they're getting better, you're getting better, and vice versa, that iron sharpening iron mentality.
Right. Yeah, so I'd say like my eighth grade going into freshman year, that mentality really changed for me because
Mm,
I decided to stick with just basketball
mm,
in the travel world. And my goal going into my freshman year was to be the starting guard on the varsity team. So I really just put my mind to it, and I give credit to both my parents because they stayed extra hours after practice and in the driveway and on hot summer days just rebounding the heck out of the ball for me.
yeah.
And at first shooting the three, I was weak. I wasn't strong enough to get the ball up there as an eighth
Mm,
grader, you know. And
mhm, mhm,
it just reps after reps and muscle memory. It just takes a lot of hard work, and a lot of times I'd chuck the ball and throw it around, and I'd chase after it. My dad would make me chase after it or whatever.
mhm,
But it's just tough love. I mean, every time I think back and just reflect on like what it took for me to get to where I'm at today is
mhm.
it just took a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, a lot of missed birthday parties, a lot of missed like it really does. And some people think, wow, like you missed out on certain things in your childhood, but I mean, my goal was to play Division I basketball, and
Mm, mhm.
I love the game, and yes, I love my friends. I still sent them a birthday card, whatever, but
Yeah.
it does take certain sacrifices. And I don't regret anything that that took me to this point. Like, I don't regret missing out on anything. I really truly think I laid it all on the line, and I'm
Yeah.
happy where I'm at for sure, and I'm happy that I had the people to support me throughout this entire process.
Gotcha. So let's segue even into that. Your last word there, as far as in support, and the
Hmm.
family dynamics are so different. A lot of times you see when these athletes they make it to the next level, and who's next they're signing them. Sometimes it's mom, sometimes it's dad. So
Hmm.
sometimes it is single parent homes or whatever. And I'm
Right.
sure within the team sport there have been different people come from different backgrounds.
Hmm.
Economic statuses and things of that nature. But what can you say to, those that might not have like the setup of a mom and dad to, what was some of that mentality that you might have even learned from them where, they didn't have the support system to say, listen, go out there and get it and,
Right.
whatever.
I'd say just use those things as motivation. I mean, you have to have a different mindset to want to work hard and want to make it to the next level. So I just say use that as motivation. Get a teammate. Get the best thing you can do is find a teammate to help you out, and then you guys get better together, and that makes your team just that much 2 times better and getting extra reps each and every day. So I definitely say if that's the case, I definitely grab a teammate and for sure just work hard together and get better together for sure.
Awesome. So let's kind of transition just a little bit away from sports. We'll wrap back up with that a little
Hmm.
bit later. But, when we look at, again, basing everything as far as in your student experience, being there and, certain things that we pulled out, and this was you as a junior, but you were on the National Honor Society, you were in 4-H, in the Spanish club. So
Hmm.
not only were you as committed as you were, which I'm glad we did start off with a little bit of that sports, because from the outside in, they were like, man, you were so committed in all these other areas. And then on top of that, your academics. And then on top of that, you went on ahead and you got involved with other organizations to kind of make you well-rounded. So
Right.
it's so easy just to get one-sided and blinders to say, I'm just going to focus on this one thing. What was it about you that said, there's still more for me to develop and to be able to be a part of all these other organizations, and grow as a student athlete?
Hmm. Yeah, it was important to get involved in other aspects of outside of the sport of basketball. I mean, being a National Honor Society, it just builds more connection. I think it's very important to
Mm-hmm.
connect with multiple people from different organizations, and that just made me meet new people, see new faces, and like meet new people for sure, and definitely connect with new people throughout my community. And just being in the National Honor Society, it took like you have to it doesn't you can't just join. You have to have multiple service hours done, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
apply and everything. And yeah, it takes a lot of hard work, and it was just nice to be in that Spanish club too, just because you're just learning. I love to
Mm-hmm.
learn new things every day, and from different types of people. And just all three of those clubs, and 4-H too. 4-H was also different too, because you don't think your typical sports girl on the basketball court is going to be handling a chicken at the fair,
Right.
and so people always was surprised when I'd post pictures of me being at the fair holding a chicken or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
that was just a different side of me. I mean, my parents introduced me to 4-H way back, probably when I was in like third grade, and ever since up until third grade of my senior year, I was involved with it, and I raised chickens, rabbits, turkeys, you name it, pigs. And
Wow.
I'm not a typical farm girl either. I live in the
Yeah.
city too. Like, it's not like I live on the farm, but yeah, it was just different, and it's fun. It's just
Yeah.
building connections with multiple people and just having different experiences outside of the sport. Sometimes it sounds like I'm in the gym 24/7, and I only focus on basketball, but that's not the case. I like to do other things. I like to swim. I like to hang out with my family. I like to go to the fair. So like, it's not like I'm just a stickler on basketball, basketball, basketball. Yes, that's my passion, but I have
Mm-hmm.
other hobbies for sure too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great stuff. I love that. So we'll also be tagging Univision just in case we want to get us a Spanish version of this. Go ahead and set up.
I don't
Yo
know
hablo
about
español un
that.
poquito. Oh, no, no hablo español. I mean, what is that? No,
I only know like the first. I took that in high school. It's been a while. It's been
I
almost
got
four
you.
years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. We'll brush up first and then we'll have them
Yeah, we
look
got
at
to
our
brush up for
contracts.
sure.
All right. I like it. Wonderful. So, one of the things that you were talking about there, even with National Honor Society, and which is one of the pillars of Game Changers, is service, And
Hmm.
so you said, community service and giving back. And with us, as far as in Game Changers, our player of the week, you have to have committed to some level of service.
Hmm.
For you, what was that service about? Of course, your big cat, little cats that you did, but what
Hmm.
are some other things that maybe you did as far as in volunteering and giving back to your community? Let's start with the why and you did it, and then
Hmm.
let's explore some of those other areas of service that you've done since then to even now, possibly.
Right. Yeah, volunteering, it's a great opportunity. If you ever have the opportunity to volunteer and help others, like that, I'd take that for sure. Just helping people and like I said, building more relationships. It's important to show your face and just like get to know people, Like at
Mm-hmm.
Youngstown, we do the spaghetti dinners on those Sundays of the first month. We do like two or three of those out of the year with the basketball program, which just it's important to just show your face and just smile and get to know people, sit down, talk to these local Youngstown people and just yeah, get to know them for sure and just give back. Like it's so important to give back and uh a lot of the people in Youngstown just see us on the court and just see us playing basketball and shooting the ball into the hoop, and I like to dive deeper into the relationships and really get to know the people, and they really appreciate it too when we do sit down and when we do get to talk to them. Like when I'm at the men's home games, I love to sit like in the section where all the alumni are, and they love it. They love to come up to me and tell me how great of a game we played the previous night, and just to sit down and just have a conversation. It, it,
Mm-hmm.
it goes a long way for sure, and I definitely enjoy it, and I know they enjoy it. It's the uh same they enjoy it as well. So like I just really appreciate the community that Youngstown has given me for sure, and it's just going to be lifelong relationships that I'll carry on forever, and I'll forever follow them on Facebook and just really just carry on that relationship.